Del Boy Army, welcome to another video on the channel. You may or may not have seen this debate going over on X.com or Twitter, as a lot of people still call it. Does scripting exist? So, this is a visual thing that's been popping up in some people's gameplay. It's been popping up in squad battles, which you can argue is against the AI, but it's also been popping up in champs and rivals. So, online gameplay against other opponents, so it's not against the AI. Obviously, there is a thing on FIFA where you can only control one man. Maybe you can argue two a little bit, but for the most part, you can't control your whole team. So what are those other players playing like? Sometimes players play very dumb in games. Sometimes players seem to be really good. People have said for years there's scripting, there's DDA. DDA stands for dynamic difficulty adjustment. I think EA have confirmed that it is a thing offline that the AI can do that. So people for years said, oh, that probably means it's a thing online. EA have put patents in place, patents where you own the tech to something so someone else can't use it, to do with like DDA, dynamic difficulty adjustment. So this video in general, we're going to discuss scripting DDA. Does it exist in FC FIFA franchise? In my opinion, and we're going to be talking about online. It does exist offline. That doesn't bother me, but we're going to talk about it online exclusively. So, like this, Nick 2018 posted this image. Lots of people have been tweeting it there. Proof of people saying that scripting exists because this message has been popping up, but they've been playing online. So I'm just going to play one of my games in the background just to talk over. Obviously, the consequences if scripting DDA did exist are pretty dire, like playing a game where it can actively work against you, not rewarding the better player, etc. for all that. One of the things I want to get out of the way before we even get into this discussion from the start, are you sick to death of getting out teamed on FC24? Won that God squad you've always been dreaming of? Check out IGGM.com today, the best and most reliable place to get coins for your ultimate team. Use the link in the description and code ZEL at checkout for a 5% discount. Check out IGGM.com today. I truly don't believe whatsoever that the game is already decided before that. Ultimately, you can't, that's just so illogical to argue. Like, I generally get rank 1 every weekend on average across most FIFAs. I've hit the top ranks every year. There's people even better than me. Like, I used to be a pro player. I don't really try competing. It's not my focus. There's pro players who go like months unbeaten in champs. If the game was literally decided to the point that you just physically couldn't get past people and couldn't win, there's no way people would be going on these crazy streaks in champs. It would be impossible. So I want to get it out of the way that it's physically not a thing. That the game is literally scripted and decided. Get that out of your head. That's not a thing. Anyone who argues that, you just facts just speak against that. I hear people argue as well that the fact people go on such long unbeaten runs means DDA can't exist, or scripting can't exist, in terms of that the game doesn't start making things difficult for you. I don't think that has to be a thing, in the sense of logically it can start going against you. If I'm having a boxing match against Tyson Fury and you make it more difficult for him in terms of tie one of his hands behind his back, so he's at a disadvantage, he'll still beat me because he's that much better than me. Yeah? Whereas, what you call it, on FIFA, I'm talking about scripting doesn't exist in the sense of you can't physically win because the game's decided that. But if your opponent suddenly had AI playing at legendary level and my AI were playing at professional, well, I'd still be able to beat someone that I'm a lot better than, because I still ultimately control my player. I still ultimately get to switch and move stuff. So you could make an argument, if it does exist, that players who get in consistent top ranks are just that good. They're just that brilliant at the game that they can overcome it. And I could see that. Before I give like my actual full opinion, I'm just giving devil's advocate, playing a few different sides to it. One of the arguments as well is that people say that, where's the motivation? Why would EA do this? They already make enough money from the game. Whenever there's like some sort of conspiracy theory, anything, I always want to say, where is the motivation? Why on earth would anyone do this? why, if scripting DDA did exist at this point online, whereas making games a lot closer, because like I say, it's not just decided games, but I could see a world. Well, where's the motivation from EA? I could 100% see a world. The motivation for EA is to make worse players get close to beating good players, because if the closer games are, the more 50-50 games are, the more likely people are to come to the conclusion in the head, well, I lost that game by a goal, or I drew that game, and my team's worth like 2 mil. If I had R9 up front, or Hullet in midfield, I would have won that game. Or people play someone with, obviously, nearly every game, one person's going to have the better team than the other person. The person who had the better team and wins might be thinking, oh yeah, I only won that tight game just because of my team. That's great, I'll keep spending. I only lost that game by a goal because his team was so much better than me. Don't take any accountability for the fact they lost. Didn't do anything wrong, it was just the team. Tight games start to make people believe things like that. So the motivation is pretty obvious for me from EA. EA's ultimate goal is to make people spend on this game. Do people spend on this game if they're not playing the game? Obviously not. Do people spend on the game? The more like there's a correlation basically between time spent on a game to how much you're going to spend on it. The more time you're on this game, the more likelihood you have of spending on it. Are you going to keep playing this game if you just get absolutely battered every single game? You're horrible at the game and you just get annihilated by everyone you play against. You are not going to keep playing the game. You're going to get bored of that. I don't think anyone's got the motivation to sit here and get tonked all day. Whereas if you're winning quite a few games that are tight, even if you feel like you maybe not as good as some people, you can still edge past some, scrape. You might lose some, you win some. You're probably a lot more likely to keep playing. So the motivation behind this conspiracy that DDA script exists is 100% of it. I don't see how you could argue against that, why it wouldn't be something that EA, it would suit them. The obvious other arguments, though, against it as well, if it ever came out, EA were doing that, it would be terrible for the game. I've seen the argument, people saying, oh, the people have looked into it, they can't prove it. What I want to make a point on as well is people say it's just obviously in the games are look at kickoffs, look at 45th minutes, look at 90th minutes. I 100%, it's not even to me like, if someone tries to deny that there's a difference in the game at 45th minute, 90th minute kickoff, I can't accept that. There's 100%, the game does change. The hard thing about it is it doesn't change consistently, but anybody at a top level of this game will be able to tell you there's 100% a thing on this game. Quite often that changes in those minutes. It's not just something in your head. It does change. But does that mean it's DDA? Does that mean it's scripting from EA? No. An argument you can make against scripting and DDA, in my opinion, that the game is just really bad. Really badly coded. Lots of bugs and errors. I've seen people make the argument, oh, EA couldn't even, wouldn't be smart enough to code or things like that. Don't know if that's necessarily true. Obviously, as well, it feels more rigged in games where maybe you're getting frustrated. It's better to sometimes take a step back and look at it. Do I truly believe that there is an online DDA thing that when I'm 5-0 up against someone, it starts making it so people can suddenly come back against me? Honestly, part of me wants to wish that. It probably always flatters your ego a bit, thinking that you're just better and that's the reason you lose. Do I really think that's probably in the game? I don't think so. There's part of me that sometimes think it is, but you'll never be able to prove it, which is kind of hard. Is there things like 45th kickoff? Yes. Is that DDA? In my opinion, not really. I just think it's glitches in the game where players just don't react properly. Is the game perfect? Obviously not. Is the game broken in a lot of ways? Definitely. Does that mean that EA have put a system in that effectively cheats you as the player? No. Do I think there's a world where it could exist? Yes. I've put out the point of why it could exist in terms of the motivation from EA. I really hope it doesn't. We'll never really be able to prove it properly, in my opinion. But there you go. That's my opinion on it, to be honest. If more proof comes out in the future, I'd like to see it. I'm interested in what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts if you've got any opinions on it. As always, keep it spicy. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.